Trump is the president of the loud minority, not silent majority. I've never seen a Biden flag waving out the back of a lifted pickup truck with a deafening aftermarket exhaust system. So, it kinda just makes sense. Do not listen to this feel-good bullshit. Do not believe the polls. Go vote and encourage others to vote. There is no voter more determined than a Trump voter. You cannot claim to be the silent majority if you never shut the fuck up. Empty vessels tend to make a lot of noise. The issue is that dumb minority has about a 99% voter turnout. I noticed that everyone is circulating the shy Trump voter nonsense. It has no basis in reality, and it's clickbait for the publishers. Trump supporters will read it because they want to believe it. Biden supporters will read it out of anxiety. The idea that someone who believes this president deserves a second term, but will answer an anonymous poll in the opposite way makes zero sense. Your guy is seriously behind in the polls. This is your chance to stand up for him anonymously, and you don't? As Biden would say, come on man. I hope so. I guess we'll find out in November. My Facebook feed has me really spooked. He's the messiah that domestic terrorists were yearning for since Ruby Ridge. It doesn't matter who Trump is a president for in some philosophical sense. If Republicans dislike Trump but vote Republican because they're single or simple issue voters, then Trump is their president. It also makes them an accomplice to the very worst parts of his presidency. It doesn't matter why you personally vote Republican. If you vote Republican while Trump is their nominee, and the party platform is to support him in his actions, you are actively choosing to vote for the very worst of him, which makes you at best, a terribly selfish person who doesn't care about how your actions might affect others as long as you win on your single or simple issue, and at worst makes you a terrible human who, if there's any truth to the evangelical preachings the base tends to favor, by your own words deserve to burn for eternity. Vote Democrat this cycle, or you are a willing accomplice to Trump's actions. Period. I think whining minority makes more sense. The problem is they vote. The GOP are an oppressive ruling minority. Back in 1993 this was called the Republican noise machine and how it corrupts democracy, https://en. Wikipedia, org/wiki/the_Republican_noise_machine. A lot gets talked about the silent majority afraid to show their support for Trump, but I think it's the opposite, and there's a silent majority afraid to show their opposition to Trump because of where they live. A loud, arrogant, ignorant, heavily armed minority. Yet he lost by 3 million of so votes and through some archaic shenanigans got the presidency. He is an illegitimate loser and always will be. But 60 vs 63 million is still a very sad state of affairs that he has any support at all. If he doesn't lose by an absolute landslide in November, even with all the fixing he is obviously doing, then the rest of the world will know what a cancerous problem the US has. Trump is just a symptom of a very big inequality problem. I hope so, because that's what they said in 2016, so I'm not so sure. I mean, a solid third of the country loves this guy, and nothing he has done, no matter how heinous, has changed their minds one bit. My parents, my brother, and step-parents are all Trumpsters and think everyone else in the world is lying. There's no fix for that. People in a cult have no individual thoughts, they believe what the leader tells them, no matter how incredibly stupid it might sound to people on the outside. This is true, but the silent majority is also the majority that doesn't fucking vote, so these loud minorities can win. Trump won his presidency with less than 25% of the US vote. Over 75% didn't vote for him. This is how people like him win. King of the Karens. A loud minority of which every single one of them votes, remember. The silent majority is now clearly liberal. Go down a list of supposed hot-button issues and you'll find that a clear majority of the country supports them. Gun reform, LGBTQ rights, equal pay, campaign finance reform, ending systemic racism, support for abortion laws remaining in place, allowing trans people to use the correct bathroom, etc. It goes on and on. This is why the GOP is against voting. They know this country is way more liberal than our politicians would seem to indicate. The silent majority needs to vote. If the silent majority doesn't want to be ruled by the loud minority, it better speak the fuck up. In the words of M.R. Zimmerman, the hour is getting late. I wouldn't underestimate the support for Trump. I still think it will be a very close election no matter who wins. Don't underestimate the voting power of all the boomers. Trump supporters are loud and stupid. I definitely grew up in a pillbilly redneck part of Kentucky, and yet, it's all the uneducated, loud, racist idiots. Both of my parents are somehow his followers, and yet they raised me as a Democrat for so long of my life. They hated George W. Bush, both thought 9/11 was a conspiracy. It's truly baffling how yet still people worship this disgusting larva dictator. Republicans, we are the silent majority. Also Republicans, we need the Electoral College because we would never win based on number of supporters alone. He is the king of dolts. I'll never understand how he still scores over 40%. I guess he does represent a large part of America after all. The loud minority might be spread strategically out across enough states to win the Electoral College though. If you want America to survive the next decade, you need to vote for Biden on November 3rd. I'm not saying he'll fix everything, but at the very least he'll stop the damage. There was a cringy dude working on a utility/excavation project in my city this week, wearing a black shirt with bold white lettering that just said, "Donald fucking Trump." What kind of mental issues and inferiority complexes do you have to wear a shirt that raunchy and political in an environment where you know you are vastly outnumbered by people of a completely contrary ideology? These people are attention seekers and were mostly the last ones picked for kickball on the playground, I think. This is actually pretty true. Those I know who will vote for him and have voted for him just did purely because he is conservative. I heard many say I wish he would shut his mouth and other stuff, but they are still going to vote for him. Same thing can be said with McConnell here in KY. Then again, the minority supporters of him are the ones that seem to never shut up and are very vocal on social media. I think most of them just need to go outside for once. Most normal voters who voted for him won't talk and ramble on about the fake news, etc. Trump is the president of the loud crazy shitheads and rich crooks, minority not silent majority anyone else. The very vocal and overrepresented minority. It's like we elected Angela from 90 Day Fiancé. This doesn't make sense. If he was the president of the loud minority, then why did he win? Trump is the president of the Confederacy. Don't believe the polls. Get out and vote. Articles like this saying "don't worry, Trump's gonna lose" does nothing but help him by telling potential voters that they don't really need to go vote for Biden cause he has it in the bag. It's like he just brings out evil in people. I have to admit I thought people got brainwashed somehow, but now I realize I was thinking too good of people, my bad. Seeing as silent majority was originally meant to refer to the dead, disproportionately powered minority, to put it precisely. Trump is a baby screaming in a high chair forcing mommy and daddy to clean up so much that they forget there's the third option of giving him up for adoption. The loud and obnoxious minority. Pretty sure that just about everything going on in politics these days is courtesy of a loud minority.